Terra's Story, Chapter 43. The scent of white sage still hung around the annex of the salon, along with hints of the frankincense they'd used the day before. Today, the faces looked less strained, but still not fully restored. Okay, folks, let's settle and get this show on the road. I'm concerned that we get proactive before he who must not be named has a chance to make more demons or come up with some other deadly plan. That statement was enough to get them all seated, quiet and waiting with focused attention on Cap's next words. The one ace we have is the money. And, I'm not entirely sure where it is, although I know that Mama took it through a portal and stashed it somewhere in another dimension. He shook his head, hardly believing the words coming out of his own mouth. When he looked at his audience, though, he saw that there was no disbelief at all, merely nods indicating interest. Yeah, Cap, it's in a pocket dimension with powerful protections, a place where he who will not want to go. Terra spoke up. Are you sure, Terra? I mean about he who not wanting to go there. It doesn't seem like much deters him. Cap really wanted to know what could block or contain a villain this powerful. Terra stood and walked over to Cap, speaking to him but clearly enough for the group to hear as well. Think about it. What is the one thing he continually rejects? She waited while Cap rubbed his head, searching in his mind. The silence stretched on until suddenly Joni bolted upright. Oh, of course, you're right, Terra. At first I was thinking anything higher vibration. What's the highest vibration? How could? And then I knew. It's love. He who can't tolerate the energy, the presence, the force, however you describe it, of love. Terra smiled. Cap looked stunned. There was a murmur of assent from the others as they thought about it and came to the same conclusion. So the money is safe, but how does that help us contain this evil? Cap wondered, a flicker of hope nonetheless shining in his eyes. Well, maybe we can create some kind of trap. Leave him clues to where it is, draw him into it. Terra thought out loud. Joni was getting excited. Yes, that's it, Terra. Cap, we're on the right track. Keeping him in jail in this reality hasn't accomplished a damn thing. We need to call in the big guns, Mamo and Mama, and whatever other allies we can, to lure him into some kind of other-dimensional container. Joni was bouncing in her chair now, excitement and hope sending energy through her and through all the faithful warrior servants gathered in the room. The air became electric. Cap's face looked lighter, too. Sounds like this might work, y'all. Terra, what do we need to do next? Just like Joni said, Cap. We call in the big guns and we brainstorm. I have a feeling this is actually going to be pretty simple. Don't get me wrong, I didn't say easy, but simple, yes. So how do we start, Terra? Brian interjected. Can we do it now? Of course, Terra replied, looking around at those gathered. First, we create sacred space. Just like the day before, they sat in a circle around a small table glowing with the flames of white candles of every shape and size. This time, however, several other voices joined Joni in singing the Sanskrit chants, making the vibration rise and the peace settle quicker. This time, too, they had set armchairs in the center of the circle for their guests. Terra spoke aloud for the benefit of their witnesses, although she knew her thoughts alone would have produced the same call to Mamo and Mama. She issued the simple request, then returned to a state of quiet expectancy. The atmosphere in the room rippled gently, and when she looked up, they were there. Simeona in her human form, Mama in her sultry, gorgeous woman aspect. Thank you for coming, Mama, Mamo. Terra bowed her head in acknowledgement and received a gracious nod in return. She continued. We need your help. While this sorcerer has been temporarily disarmed, we need to figure out how to contain him before he gets strong enough to mount another attack. Please help us. She paused a moment, then plunged ahead. Mama, we think we can use the money you rescued to draw this evil one into a trap. We're also thinking to use the power of love somehow to trap him and contain him. Are these real possibilities? Do you have better ideas? Simeona deferred to Mama, staying silent, although the twinkle in her eyes belied her small, sad smile. Mama glanced at her. Yes, Simeona, I agree that it is truly sad when any being is so terrified of love that avoiding it becomes a trap. I also concur that it is rewarding to work with humans who are beginning to understand how to work with the vibrations and the dimensions of reality. So she huffed and leaned forward. Yes, This being you've begun to call he who will be drawn from hiding by the money. You are wise to redirect his attention before his strength returns. You are also wise to understand the power of love over someone who has not only rejected it, but has drawn all his power from its opposite. Mama leaned back and laid her hands on the arms of the chair, her regal posture making it seem like a throne. When she spoke again, her voice held a deep resonance that made her words echo around the room. The physical money is in a chest in a pocket dimension of my sacred cave. She held up her hand to silence the buzz of questions. Think of a pocket dimension as a sort of vault protected by several barriers of energetic protection. You know there are colors the human eye cannot see. Several heads bobbed acknowledgement. All colors have a vibration as well, and the higher the vibration, the more difficult for this he-who to access them, because he has so consistently chosen the dense, low vibrations of fear, pain, and so forth. These are the kinds of barriers that protect this pocket dimension. Even the chest where the money is stored has this kind of lock. Mama shook her head sadly. All this for pieces of paper that humankind uses to represent energy, when energy is freely available everywhere. Someday, you silly little godlets will find a way to clear the limitations that you have been convinced of, and this kind of manipulation will no longer control you. She stood and began to pace around the inside of the circle, her piercing gaze seeing into the hearts and minds of everyone sitting there, riveted. One of the reasons I poofed this so-called treasure through the portal was in hopes you would be drawn to the conclusions you are reaching for. So yes, you have the bait. You're on track with the means as well. This he who recoils from love and the high-vibration emotions that are the barriers he would have to break through will effectively contain him. So what do you intend to do with this soul once he is trapped? Mama, may I call you that? Christine's voice quavered slightly. Yes, all of you may call me that. As a Mo, I am a supernatural being, but not a god. My loyalty lies with those who honor me and who are willing to grow in their understanding of how the multiverse works. In other words, those who accept the responsibility that comes with supernatural gifts and power. Recognize that accepting the responsibility of powers requires you to choose, not just once, but over and over again, how to use those powers. Mama turned to pace in the other direction, holding the gaze of each person as she passed. My service is to this planet, she who is truly a goddess. And, she smirked and her eyes flashed, to the humans she loves, whether they deserve it or not. Specifically, I help those humans who have broken through the veil of forgetfulness to reclaim the knowledge to co-create with Source. The allegiance of Simeona and Terra, and the fact that you share their intention gives you also this opportunity. So yes, you may call me Mama, as long as you know what is required to be in relationship with me. Christine didn't blink before responding. Thank you, Mama. And she rose to bow, her hands in a maste position in front of her heart before sitting back down. Christine opened her mouth to speak, but stopped as the room rustled with movement, each person in the circle following her example. As they sat again, their faces expectant, Mama let her gaze sweep the circle, her eyes tender, her smile broadening. Thank you. You have just stepped onto a different timeline, one that will fill your life with both blessings and challenges. Now, Christine, your question. Mama, could you create another pocket dimension, or perhaps we can use the one you've already made? Will the vibrational barriers be enough to hold him? Christine leaned forward, eager to hear the answer. Cap, sitting beside her, patted her back in encouragement as she spoke again. And what will happen to him once he's contained? Mama gazed at Christine for a long moment. You care, don't you? Christine looked puzzled for a minute, then admitted, Yes, I guess I do. I'm not sure I would have before yesterday when we tried to transform the first fear that penetrated his soul, but, I don't want to have anything to do with him. He scares me to death. And I don't want him left free to destroy any more lives. It's horrible beyond words, this evil he's become. But, her voice tapered off, this is good, daughter. Mama looked around the circle. Do any of the rest of you feel this way? She saw that though they were surprised to find this spark of compassion for he who, it was there. They were even more surprised to realize that the intensity of their hatred had diminished a degree. The desire to stop him was intact, as strong as before, but the desire to punish? Now the craving for justice was tempered by the beginnings of mercy. Mama nodded. Then this will work.